ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, policymakers, scholars, and citizens watching from around the globe. Today, I stand before you to speak about a development that has the potential to reshape not only trade patterns, but also the future of geopolitics in Eurasia and beyond. The commencement of talks for a free trade agreement, or FTA, between India and a Russia-led trade bloc. This is not just about tariffs, quotas, and technical negotiations. It is about strategy. It is about resilience. It is about building a multipolar world order where nations pursue balanced growth, reduce vulnerabilities, and create frameworks that withstand the shocks of global crises. To understand the weight of this initiative, let us first look at the state of the world economy. Over the last decade, the global order has been in flux. Trade wars, tariffs, and protectionist measures have challenged the spirit of globalization. The pandemic highlighted the dangers of overdependence on a few supply chains. The war in Ukraine further disrupted energy markets, commodity flows, and investment corridors. In this environment, countries like India and blocs like the Eurasian Economic Union, led by Russia, have recognized the urgency of diversifying partnerships. The question is no longer whether trade blocs should seek new friends. The question is how fast they can move to create new frameworks of cooperation. India, with its 1.4 billion people, stands as one of the world's fastest-growing major economies. Its demand for energy, technology, and infrastructure is vast. Its market is young, dynamic, and expanding. While India has traditionally maintained strong economic relations with the West, it is now equally determined to anchor itself in Asia, Eurasia, and Africa. An FTA with a Russia-led bloc offers India three key advantages. Energy security. Russia is one of the largest energy exporters in the world. Stable long-term supply agreements can help India avoid volatility in oil and gas markets. Market access. The Eurasian bloc opens doors to new markets for Indian pharmaceuticals, textiles, and agricultural products. Strategic balance. By deepening trade with Russia and its allies, India signals that it will not be pressured into aligning exclusively with any one power center, whether that is the US, Europe, or China. From Russia's perspective, the benefits are equally significant. Facing sanctions and exclusion from many Western markets, Moscow seeks to redirect trade flows eastward and southward. A free trade agreement with India allows Russia to secure a long-term buyer for its energy resources, diversify its economy by engaging India in joint ventures in manufacturing, defense, and technology. Use the FTA as a demonstration that it is not isolated but actively reshaping global economic linkages. The forthcoming negotiations are expected to cover a wide range of areas. Reduction of tariffs, lowering duties on goods ranging from oil to machinery, pharmaceuticals to fertilizers. Energy cooperation, special mechanisms for oil and gas trade in local currencies like the rupee and the ruble. Reducing reliance on the US dollar. Connectivity projects, integration of transport corridors like the International North-South Transport Corridor, which links India to Russia through Iran. Technology and defense cooperation, joint production, research, and development in high-tech sectors. But let us be realistic. Negotiating an FTA is never easy. There are challenges on both sides. India will have to balance this engagement with its ties to the United States and Europe, which may view closer into Russian trade with suspicion. Russia will need to ensure that the FTA is not just symbolic but truly beneficial, particularly in sectors beyond oil and gas. Non-tariff barriers, regulatory hurdles, and political sensitivities will all need to be managed. Moreover, China looms large in this equation. As Russia's closest partner in recent years, how will Beijing view Moscow's efforts to deepen trade with India, its traditional rival? Will it encourage or quietly resist this process? These are the complex dynamics that underline every clause of the FTA talks. The commencement of these FTA talks is not simply a trade negotiation. It is a signal that Eurasia is emerging as the new center of gravity in global geopolitics. For India, it is a step toward greater autonomy, building bridges with multiple blocks without being locked into one camp. For Russia, it is a message to the world that despite sanctions, it can and will find alternative economic pathways. For the Eurasian Economic Union, it is a chance to enhance its global relevance. If successful, this FTA could rewire trade corridors across Asia, challenge Western-dominated trade institutions, accelerate the trend toward de-dollarization, strengthen the foundations of a multipolar world order. As we arrive at the end of this discussion on India and the Russia-led trade bloc commencing talks for a free trade agreement, it is vital to pause and reflect on what this moment truly signifies. Because sometimes, in the rush of policy details, in the technicalities of tariffs, corridors, and currency swaps, we miss the deeper truth that what we are witnessing is not just a trade negotiation, but a marker of history in motion. For centuries, trade has been one of the most powerful forces shaping the destiny of nations. Wars have been fought over trade routes, empires have risen on the back of commerce, and civilizations have flourished because of open exchanges of goods, knowledge, and culture. The ancient Silk Road, which connected India, Central Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, was not merely about silk or spices. It was about human interaction, cultural blending, and the creation of interdependence. Today, when India and Russia take steps to forge closer economic ties, they are, in a sense, reviving that same timeless truth. Trade is the bloodstream of global power. And here lies the essence of the closing thought. This agreement, this dialogue, is not about a single policy win or short-term economic gain. It is about planting seeds for the future, a future that is multipolar, balanced, and resilient. First, let us think about what this development means for India, in a world increasingly divided into camps. Where countries are pressured to take sides, India has chosen instead to walk its own path. By engaging in these talks, India is sending a clear message that it values autonomy, that it will not be boxed into one sphere of influence, and that it will engage with partners across the world on its own terms. This is a bold and necessary stance. The United States and Europe remain important partners, no doubt. But if India is to truly achieve its vision of becoming a leading power, it cannot be dependent on any single alliance. Instead, it must weave a web of partnerships across the globe, so that its economy and security are anchored in diversity, not dependency. The FTA with a Russia-led bloc is a step in exactly that direction. So, the closing thought is this: trade is never only about trade. It is about the kind of world we want to live in. It is about whether we choose dependence or autonomy, conflict or cooperation, isolation or interconnection. India and Russia, by taking this step, have chosen cooperation, autonomy, and interconnection. And if they succeed, they will not only benefit themselves, but also send a message to the world that even in turbulent times, nations can still find common ground, can still build bridges, and can still create frameworks that bring prosperity and peace. Ladies and gentlemen, this is more than a negotiation. It is history unfolding before our eyes. Let us watch, let us learn, and let us hope that this path leads not just to freer trade, but to a freer, fairer, and more balanced world order. Thank you.